What was the toughest part from your time in Vietnam?
Uh, I guess the toughest part was is whether or not you're actually going to make it back.
Max Elliott was born on May 6, 1944 in Dubuque, Iowa, during the end of the Second World War. Growing up, Max had 5 brothers and 2 sisters living in a low-income farmhouse on the edge of poverty. The house had 4 bedrooms, and Max shared his space with brothers Phil, David, and Lyle. Throughout high school, Max was reserved and kept to himself. You could usually find him diving into a book. Max developed his love for aviation around the same time through his older brother Phil, who made model planes out of balsa wood. Soon enough, Max was hooked and also involved. Even though he was reserved in nature, he was still an Elliott, and they knew how to get into trouble. Max earned his nickname Wills since he was always willing to do anything. This same willingness led to multiple interactions with the law, which left Max with very few options heading into his early 20s.
I really enlisted to avoid the draft because I didn't want to be a ground pounder. I wanted to be a helicopter crew chief, door gunner. I was a John Wayne type, gung ho. I was ready to go serve. It was interesting because you were structured. I did care for it, but I didn't care for it. It's that's a fact of life. You got young men who are taken away from their families, and they would cry half the night. You just learn to live with it.
1, 2, 3, 1.
Pull ups, sit ups, run, climb rope ladders, whatever required, I guess. Yeah, the physical regimen was hard to adapt to at first, but I made it through it. I took training to be a helicopter repairman, and then we flew. It wasn't, a matter of 22 hours, and we landed in Saigon. It was definitely hot and humid. Guys had fatigues on, and they rolled them all the way up as far as they could roll them up. Day-to-day basis, you crawled up onto it, checked all the rods and everything, make sure that they were safe. You didn't have too much play. As a helicopter crew chief, door gunner, we flew from one end of Vietnam to the other. It didn't take too long. And a pilot, co-pilot, gunner, and crew chief, which I became gunner after we broke ground. We were out there, we received fire, we returned fire. Had plenty of times to shoot me down. Only took one, so UH-1. I appreciate everything about it because it could take and fly at treetop. Made it very, very much so tough to take and shoot down. You always flew with the door open because you had to have a machine gun there. If you had your visor up, you'd feel the wind go by your face. When we dropped off Special Forces troops, and then we would come back in 24, 48 hours and pick up maybe not the exact same crew that you dropped off, but you'd pick them up. You were very concerned about ground movement that wasn't supposed to be there. You knew where your troops were, but for the Viet Cong, you didn't always know where they were going to be. Almost assured they'd be in a rice paddy, but what they're armed with, that was another question. What makes a good pilot? One that can fly a treetop and not go down, you know. I had pilots that I went out with. I told them, hey, ain't no way in hell I'm going back out with that guy. Because they were too reckless. You know, you can be treetop level or you can be down kissing the ground. There was a real shortage of people who wanted to do that. I was such a John Wayne type, you know. Gung ho, give it your all. And you had to have a good attitude because if you didn't, you were like all the rest of them, they locked you away. The draftees were draftees, you know. They didn't have the gung ho. Forestry was very good, but you know, we bombed the hell out of it. You pretty much sort of leveled it so that the Viet Cong didn't have a place to hide other than their rice paddies. We did whatever had to be done to succeed. It was a hard-fought war, mainly because you go in and figure you eradicated them, the Viet Cong out, and well, 50,000 of them plopped up, which eventually took over the whole country anyhow, so it's a, you know, worthless fight. Thought their main objective was right on. But the fact that we just gave up, I wasn't happy with. But, you know, you live and learn. I still would have went in, you know, as an aviation individual. And, you know, you knew that when you went in, automatically you're going to end up in Vietnam. Whether you're a ground pounder or you're aviation, you know that sometime period of time, you know, you're going to be in Vietnam.
From Saigon, Long Binh, Bearcat, Da Nang. The Bob Hope Christmas Special.
Bob Hope brought over a very good group of people. Depends sometimes where you were. You know, if you're in Nha Trang or Da Nang. I did get to see a few of the shows. There was a long that I got to be good friends with. Oh, we were both helicopter crew chiefs. He was pretty gutsy though. In your squadron, we had like 10 or 20 helicopters. And, you know, I don't know how many of them got shot down. I don't know what happened to the door gunner, and I don't know what happened to the pilot or co-pilot. They were pretty ruthless. If you got shot down, you wanted to get the hell out of there right away. And I was lucky, the 5th Special Forces, we were detached to them. And so they were there, they scooped me up right away. Our objective at the time was to eradicate the Viet Cong.
How soon after that did you have to go back up?
Next day.
Did that mess with your psyche at all?
Not really. I can't say as I remember, you know, all the missions I was on. I flew some 2,000 flight hours. And, you know, I don't know how many missions that would have been. It would have lasted anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. You were committed to doing what your job was in the military. That's the way it went. We boarded an aircraft and off we flew.
Thousands of demonstrators opposed to the Vietnam War assembled in the nation's capital for a mass protest. For the most part orderly, minor scuffles did occur between the demonstrators and hecklers.
I did see the anti-military when I got off a plane, and you knew what was going on, but there wasn't much you were going to do about it, you know. I got spit on and, cussed at.
You talk about your time in service often?
No. It's probably the most Carol ever heard about me talking about it. It was such a sore spot in the American people. I had 18 months left, and that I served at Fort Huachuca, Arizona. I was still crew chief, still maintained a helicopter. And then towards the end, most of the helicopters were all gone because they were all deployed to Vietnam and to be shot down. I went to work for Boy Scouts of America. What they said is you needed a degree. Well, yeah, I had an associate's degree, and then I went to the University of Dubuque to get my 4-year degree. I do have some interest in wanting to go on an honor flight.
Honor Flight takes veterans on an all-expenses-paid trip to visit military memorials in their honor, each accompanied by a guardian that pays their own way. One of the most well-known memorials honoring our veterans is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, and it brings back memories of all kinds for veterans that see it in person.
That would be more adventurous.
Do you still feel like John Wayne?
Yeah.